Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle Age Guys, and in this particular video, we are going to get a little political. If it's not obvious, if you've seen the content of the majority of our videos, our most passionate hobby of ours is obviously video games. All right. So much so that even one of us in this particular video is, gainfully employed with a video game publisher and developer. All right. So obviously this is an important thing in our lives. Now, with a lot of things that have happened in recent weeks, some of the more tragic things that have happened, we found that, our favorite hobby in all the world is once again being scrutinized and being put into the crosshairs politically. And we wanted to go ahead and take a little bit of time to address that in a sound and focused manner. All right. And I think that's probably going to be the most challenging part. Before we even get that far, let's just get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
Okay. If you haven't been living under a rock, okay, in Parkland, Florida, about 2 weeks ago, there was a school shooting, and basically the shooter was able to go ahead and he came in. 6 minutes of mayhem. Let's see here. You can go ahead and you can look it up. There's a whole bunch of details and everything on that. Basically, we had a guy who, according to all the details that have come out after the dust is settled, and after all the tragedies were accounted for, people were able to sit there and say and verify, yes, they knew that he was a troubled kid. Yes, the local police knew that he was a troubled kid. All right. That the FBI themselves were even warned that, he was talking about going out of his way and taking a rifle to his school and shooting it up. All right. So there was a lot of things that are going on about that. Of course, naturally what happened after that, was there was a lot of political posturing going on. A lot of people blaming guns, a lot of people blaming mental health. And then there are a lot of people going out of their way, like clockwork, blaming video games. All right. Okay. I'm going to say this right now. Hearing that, yes, it angers me. All right. Because the thing is that this is pretty much a stigma that, people wonder why, sometimes a lot of people don't sit there and they don't sit there and jump out in the crowd and, say, hey, yeah, I'm a gamer, and everything else. Because for over 20 years, ever since the Columbine shooting, and if we found out that those two assholes loved to play Doom, all right, and that they described, in passages in their fucking diaries about how they're going to go ahead and do things on, oh yeah, it'd be just like taking double barrel shotgun, to one of the demons in Doom. That's what it's going to feel like and everything. Okay. Obviously that stigma has been attached and has been bandied around by politicians and people who've, in some cases they're trying to make sense of it. In some cases, they're just trying to find an easy avenue to go ahead and blame things. 20 years later, with as much studies and actual research has actually gone into it, I can happily say that the more reputable research studies that have been done, guess what? Do not show any sort of correlation between violence and video games. In fact, if we think about just the pure numbers right now, okay, the video game industry makes more money than Hollywood, all right? In fact, many times it makes more money than Hollywood and the music industry combined, okay, on a yearly basis. When polled, all right, the majority of adults who have access to digital devices, over 96% of them say that they play video games on a regular basis. Because guess what? digital devices like this make it really, really easy to go ahead and do so.
Yep.
If there was a direct correlation, all right, where, video games themselves were definitely the thing driving, people to violent behavior, it doesn't explain the fact that currently over the last few years, we're actually, if you look up the FBI statistics, there has been less violent crime happening in the last 5 years than there has in over 20 years. Okay? And that's just the truth. However, this sort of thing still comes up. I can go on in length, but that would really do a disservice to the fact that Gray Mouse and the theme are in here. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? I know this is an old beaten horse, but
yeah, if we had a nickel, that expression goes hand in hand with this. If we had a nickel, I'm sick of this. I am sick and tired of it. And as you said, Rev, it's like clockwork. It's like, oh my God, they had to get it from somewhere. Oh my God, and then they start pointing fingers at every goddamn thing except for the individual themselves. They shoot past that, regardless of who's arguing. People shoot past that from the get-go. I can go on, and I don't want to as of right now. Gray Mouse, what are your thoughts?
I pretty much echo the same thing you guys are saying. The sad part about it is, let me be candid here. The bodies weren't even cold, and they're already blaming video games. And have we, as a society, degraded to that point to where we don't know all the facts that you're going to instantly take gaming as a scapegoat? And all the information, it's been 2 weeks now. Not one indication has this guy. Nobody ever said, "Oh, well, he played Halo, he played Killzone." Nobody even said that. But the first thing out of these politicians' mouth is, it's got to be violent video games.
But yes, it is gone to that point.
And it's just really ridiculous that's the first thing out of these people's mouths, instead of taking individual responsibility. Yeah, that the guy was sick in the head, that the FBI knew about it. 39 phone calls to the local police department from his girlfriend, and they ignored it. But let's blame video games. That pushes this agenda that we have, that video games create violent people.
Wasn't this dude a troubled student for like a couple of years? I mean, even 2 years ago, he got expelled from high school.
As more and more information's coming out about this guy, I mean, he's been disturbed since he's 5 years old. I think he watched his dad get killed when he was a young age. And that they're starting to point everywhere. What's happening is they're picking up mud, throwing it against the wall, and seeing what's sticking.
But that's what I just don't understand. More and more information has come about. So how is this even in the conversation when the more information that comes out, it's about the fucking individual?
Well, no, it gets further and further from video games.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's about the individual. It's about the individual. It's about
first thing.
Period. He's been reported to the FBI. He's been reported to the law. But wait. We're steering away from the.
No, we're not. No, but
no. What I'm saying is the government is trying to get involved in this again, and it has nothing to do with this hobby.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, it's really messed up. How do you point the video games right off the bat with no evidence, nothing substantiated?
Well,
it's video games. It's got to be.
In order to go ahead and keep us focused here, all right? Because the thing is that here's the thing that's really troubling me, especially over the last few weeks, all right? Even before the Parkland, Florida thing came up, is that, the government for a long time has been trying to get, some sort of legislative control over content and sale and other stuff for video games for a while now. I mean, for well over a decade, all right? we are talking, you know, all the way back to the mid '90s with Joseph Lieberman and things like that. Okay,
Fuck
it's
that
just
guy.
that, you know, when it comes to these particular type of deals, yeah, hot point. You know, when you have tragedies like this, you know, it becomes the center of a hot point discussion. All right, the thing that's really troubling to me, all right, um, you know, is that here's the thing. Um, when somebody like, you know, what's his name, the senator from Kentucky, uh,
Mm.
fucking Governor Matt Bevin, all right, from fucking Kentucky, goes out of his way and he sits there and he starts saying, you know, uh, it's the media's fault. It's, you know, we've desensitized everybody through movies, music, and video games, you know, that nobody knows the value of life and everything else. It's rather natural that you're going to see a lot of people who are like fans of, you know, said music, movie, or video games or whatnot come up in arms and say, no, you're full of shit. All right. We know you're full of shit. All right. Because the thing is that it's very easy to see the bullshit. All right. This is stuff that's, it's not even being hidden. All right. But when you start seeing folks like, I don't know, the what is it? The governor from fucking Rhode Island. All right. Um, yeah, state representative Bobby Nordilio. All right, announcing that he wants to go ahead and introduce a legislation bill where, you know, he wants to introduce a tax on all video games that are rated M or higher, and that the reason why he wants to go ahead and he wants to tax the games
M
is
or
that
higher?
M or higher, you know, M-rated games, all right. You
What's
know,
higher than
he
M?
wants AO,
Oh,
AO, all
There are
right.
that many?
adult only. That's
Yeah, but the thing is that he's covering all of his bases, all right. He knows that there's, you know, according to the ESRB, there's another one above M rating, all right. But his whole thing is that he wants to go ahead and tax the sale of video games, all right, M or higher, and then uh in his proposition, that tax would then go toward mental care for people who are disturbed. All right, this is when it really starts getting really muddy, because he's not outwardly saying that, hey, video games is causing people to go crazy, but if you
But
sit there, you connect the
it-
dots. If you
Mhm.
connect the dots, the connotation of the reason why a tax would even be necessary,
Mhm.
guess what? That's exactly what he's saying.
So why is it only with video games then?
so. Wait, what would the publishers and the developers say about that? You're
They
making
would
money
not
on
make
us.
mature games for a
You're
while.
making money on our games. You
Well,
mm-mm.
here. Well, let me put one
It's called
one thing.
intellectual property for a reason.
No, no. Let me put one theory out there. Okay, and the thing is that, you know, just like a lot of governments, a lot of state governments and everything else out there, you know, they're all looking for brand new sources of revenue, and if they see, hey, look, video games, they make more fucking money than Hollywood on a regular basis. Why can't we see more money from video games? You know. When the truth of the matter is they see, well, more than enough than what they go ahead and they actually tax the businesses and the workers themselves for income. So I don't know why they're asking for more, you know. But I I'm thinking, honestly, it's about money, okay. But the whole, like I said, the thing that's so problematic about right now, the only reason why somebody can actually go ahead and think up and say, hey, we can go ahead and we could possibly, if we change the language a little bit, go ahead and pass something like this, is because guess what? You have a hot point topic like Parkland, Florida, that just occurred, okay, where people are saying, hey, look, you know, obviously there was a kid who's mentally and emotionally disturbed here, all right. They have proof and facts going toward that. So again, this particular bill isn't outwardly, it doesn't say it right on the front, video games are causing people to go crazy, but if you connect the dots through connotation, that's exactly what it's saying. But because of the change in language, A lot more people are going to sit there and say, well, that actually sounds reasonable, which unfortunately, my position is that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what? These guys, these politicians, they love when something like this happens because it's an opportunity for them. That guy who from Rhode Island or whatever, he was waiting for this. You don't just come up with something like this all of a sudden. This was something that he wait till the next whatever. Maybe I'm being cynical here, but I mean, it seems like it's a political point or a hot button item that we could, just change the words a little bit in the legislation, and we could get, since this people are trying to take advantage of a crisis, and I'm just so sick of that. And I mean, there's no way that the developers or the publishers would go with that. You cannot make 10% on top of a game that I made. That just throws out the whole intellectual property thing. I mean, there's a lot of red tape in there.
Intellectual property, will sit there and control the sale of what you want to sell. All right. It doesn't exactly sit there, it doesn't sit there and say that it has to be sold at any one price. So that's the whole thing about that.
What I just don't understand is that they're trying to make new legislation, new laws, but they're not even enforcing the ones that are already in place.
Yeah, which is a fair point, and has always been something that's really been
that's the part I'm not understanding. I'm like, wait, so you want to implement some new shit that has nothing to do with what's going on? Absolutely nothing. There's no proof. There's no evidence. You have more gamers in the world than just about anything, but yet this is something that you want to target, and you're targeting this. But again, you're not even enforcing the shit that you should have fucking enforced in order to prevent this shit. The one in Florida, the school shooting, could have been prevented. The Pulse nightclub, that could have been prevented. The FBI was notified of motherfuckers getting guns. The FBI was notified of motherfuckers having shit said about them, giving them warnings. There were signs. Nothing was done. So, what's the easiest thing to point to now? Entertainment that basically these people have nothing to do with, and they have no idea, they know nothing about, so they just want to point it to everything else to push their agenda, to get it off of guns or to get it on video games, or, oh no, it's not the individual's fault, it must be the shit that they use. What would drive them to, and it's not video games that's driving motherfuckers to do this. On the contrary, video games keep motherfuckers from going insane and crazy and doing dumbass shit.
The thing is that almost 99.9% of gamers just want to be left alone.
We don't say anything until shit threatens our fucking hobby.
when the government starts to come into our hobby and just wreak havoc.
It's not just the government. I mean, it could be someone
or whoever. Whoever is
picking whatever
that just comes in, don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and just tries to and then people's going to come up and gamers are going to come out and
but let's go to what the Reverend was saying. The way that this shit is worded now.
No, I know
it. Now there are chances that some of this shit will pass because of the way the shit's worded, and people are thinking with emotion. They're reacting with emotion instead of coming with rationale. There's no conversation being had. They're just fingers being pointed, and then, okay, we're going to put Band-Aids and we're going to put square pegs in round holes.
And, to be completely honest with you, if I hate to sit there and go ahead and jump in and add on to the amount of noise that's already part of the conversation and things like that, without being able to sit there and readily suggest, working applicable solutions or possible applicable solutions or stuff like that. Because Yeah, when you try to weigh out a lot of the details of things that are happening like this, you know, uh, would there if you're being realistic about it, there is a certain level of reason surrounding some people's arguments. All right, but it based off those arguments, coming to a reasonable plan of action that will actually help prevent something like this happening in the future, that's where the real hard work happens, and that's where people have to sit there and take real account into, okay, so what does it mean to actually go ahead and become accountable in a way that something like this becomes harder to happen, all right? The thing about it is that the reason why I say harder to happen is because, yeah, just due to the nature of the resourcefulness of man, all right, of humanity, um, you can have as many safeguards as possible. I mean, people still get murdered in prison, and they're surrounded by cops all day. All right, seriously. Okay.
Right.
Um, you know, like I said, the best thing that we could do realistically is to go ahead and try to enact something to go ahead and lessen things like Parkland or Columbine from happening in the future, all right? Or making sure that, if such things do happen, they aren't tragedies on the scale that they're happening, that they have happened in the past, all right? Now, where it really starts to go ahead and compound and worry me, okay? Like I said, this particular thing about the government trying to go ahead and put their fingers in legislating about video games and stuff like that,
Yeah, this finger.
amongst many others, all right, it's like I said earlier, it's not a new thing. They've been trying to do this for decades, all right? And then usually, majority of the time, like I said, gamers as a whole, there's a lot of us, all right? They hear the initial arguments or the initial things that are being offered up when it's something as blatant as the the governor from Kentucky or the president sitting there saying that, yeah, games might be the ones to go ahead, the video games might be the thing that's causing this sort of shit. Gamers are very, very quick to go ahead and to yell bullshit. All right,
They're
should
very passionate about that.
all right. They were very passionate about that. Okay, what's worrying me though is that there are other things that government seems set on getting involved in or set on influencing within the industry that I think gamers realistically should go out of their way and say, no, we don't want you involved in any of this shit at all.
Right.
Okay, like we had the discussion before about like the whole legislation for loot boxes and things like that. All right, and full disclosure, yeah, I work for a game publisher. Then we do make a lot of money off of loot boxes and shit like that. Okay, but generally speaking, even before I was working for the publisher that I'm working for right now, my whole position on federal government's involvement in video games as far as controlling content and things like that, or controlling the way it's sold or the way that the types of forms it takes, whether it be physical or digital, or how it's trafficked or whatnot. My stance has always been the same. I want as little government intervention and involvement as possible. Okay. But when you sit there and you bring up, oh yeah, well, government's thinking about putting their hands in loot boxes, and then gamers as a whole are going, yes, good, please do that. Save us from ourselves. It drives me crazy.
The government ruins everything. I don't understand how anyone would cheer from the government being involved in just about anything when that the government is all fucked up.
I mean, there are certain things that we can sit there and we can go ahead and we can say, all right, look, these are guidelines and things that are set up in a way that do work out for maybe for a greater good. All right, the fact that you have a working infrastructure with running electricity and water, all right, internal plumbing, okay, but all of this is being run by people who can fuck things up and can corrupt things. All right, you know, I mean, you know, if all of this stuff was infallible, then the people in Flint, Michigan wouldn't have to worry about whether or not they had enough drinking water, okay? Or the folks who are driving down, you know, the highways here in LA, we wouldn't have to worry about the fucking condition of our roads. Shit, we're taxed enough as it is, you know. Everybody's fucking, the rates on their registration went up this year. All right, I know mine shot up by $80. All right, you know, and it's all supposed to go to that stuff, but you know, but yeah, I think a lot of the one thing that I want to make perfectly clear for anybody who happens to be watching this particular video is that I want you to go ahead and pay attention to the fact that they're trying to go ahead and get themselves involved in this stuff, because guess what? There is such a thing called legal precedent. Now, once they set up one law that allows them to influence one aspect of this industry, it just opens up floodgates for them to influence so many more other things. All right.
That's what a lot of people do not understand. They think that it's, like I say, the Band-Aid and putting square pegs in round holes, not understanding that it opens up the floodgates for them to fuck around with everything else.
I mean, you know, just like with the issue that may involve mass shootings. All right, I don't want to sit there and equate that, you know, loot boxes are just as tragic as mass shootings. Please don't take that take that out of my mouth right now. But you know, the things that society has to do on a whole in order to mitigate anything like a tragedy like that happening again is difficult. It's tough. Likewise, in order for gamers to sit there and actually force, you know, developers and publishers in the industry to stop being so invasive with the way that they're monetizing their AAA products, you know, it's tough. All right, but it is a simple thing that we can do, and that's just refraining from spending your money on any product that has that bullshit. You know, I mean, it's really, really simple. All right.
The simplest solutions are the ones that people do not want to move forward with.
Well, unfortunately, with that particular one, and with a lot of simple solutions, it involves taking a measure of self-responsibility for what's going on, and then understanding that you have to sit there and exercise some sort of control. All right. Here's the thing: if we don't exercise any sort of control over what we do, all right, if we don't exercise some sort of influence over how our hobbies are being, are being marketed out, the content of our hobbies, or the content of the entertainment that we go ahead and we spend our hard-earned money toward, all right, if we don't exercise our own influence, whether or not that be as simple as not spending on those sort of things, or being vocal, you know, to local politicians, to publishers, to developers, all right, voice your concerns about this sort of thing, all right. If we're not party to doing anything like that, federal government or government on a state or federal level is more than happy to go ahead and step in and to remove that responsibility from us. Okay. Not only that, but they will then enforce those responsibilities either on a monetary or criminal level. Okay. If they think that you're doing something that is irresponsible. All right. And I don't want that to be the case, you know. I don't know, guys. This is unfortunately what's happening here is that I think with all the stuff that's being put in front of everybody right now, here's the thing: some of the things that are going on, whether or not be, you know, a banning of games, limiting the sale of certain games, a tax that's being put on certain content of games, to modification of like loot boxes or certain aspects of content in games and stuff like that, everything falls on the scale. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there are certain things that gamers are going to sit there and they're going to go, "Oh no, that's just straight bullshit. We cannot agree with that." All right. At this moment in time, though, especially with the way that the curve is going, there are still some things that are hanging out on the edge that a lot of gamers think is actually a good idea. I can't agree with that.
No,
You know?
I'm not going to agree with that either.
And I just hope that, you know, if for somebody who's watching this particular video and you've gotten to this point, you know, I apologize if it sounds like we're rambling at any one point here, but I would really hope that you would kind of consider the type of things that are going on, especially if you care about this particular industry and this hobby of ours, video gaming and stuff like that. You know, and really take a look at where federal government is trying to go ahead and put their hands into this sort of thing. Because in my experience, it's never made anything better. All right. What are your last closing thoughts on this, guys? I know we only got a few minutes left on this.
Again, sick and tired of this. If we had a nickel for every time they try to say any of this shit, I mean, damn. Gray Mouse, what about you?
They call it Big Brother for a reason. And all it takes is one infiltration, one piece of legislation, and I guess you could say House of Cards as well. I mean, all it takes is just one. And no matter how minuscule it is, whether it be control loot boxes, control the spending of loot boxes, or blaming real world violence with violent video games. It seems to me like the government is trying all angles to get into the hobby that we love. And the reason why we're so passionate, we're not the only ones that are passionate about this hobby, and that's why it gets underneath our skin so easily, is that we can see, all you have to do is have common sense, and you could see that when the government starts meddling around in your hobby, it's not going to be your hobby anymore. I mean, look already at the gun industry. I mean, people shoot as a hobby, buy guns as a hobby. It's going to affect them because, you know, the scary words AR and AK.
And it's none of those people that are doing the mass shootings.
And that's exactly, you know, and all it takes is just the government to get a little bit of footing on there, and it's over. But, you know, the problem is, I think what it boils down to, this whole conversation, is individual responsibility. You know, I mean,
thrown out the window.
It should be the individuals. If your neighbor wants to spend $10,000 on loot boxes to get a digital skin, by all means, let him do that. But I'm not going to do it.
Hey, but when he's broke and he comes begging me for money, the answer is no.
Exactly. And I think the Reverend said it, you know, 10 minutes ago. It comes down to self-control, and it's either, you know, self-control of how many video games you play, how long you play, how much money you spend. If you boil this down to the very, very bottom, it's individual. It's the individual.
All of it always comes to personal responsibility. I mean, look, drinking alcohol right now, I'm not going to jump in my car. I get an accident. What is everyone going to say? Well, it was the car and what? No, what? But it was the alcohol. But wait a minute, I'm the one that drunk it and decided to get in the car. So the responsibility is bared upon me. So, that being the case, that should be with just about everything. And
well, the thing is that they say that video games teach people how to shoot. or
No.
kill people.
And that's been proven false.
Exactly. You can't, just because I can hit a home run on a sports game doesn't mean I could go out there,
Man, let me try out for the
get in the
team.
batter's box in MLB and hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Hey, let me try out for the team. Well, yeah, I play Madden. Yeah, I want to see someone try that.
It's just, that's how stupid this has become.
Well, let me try to wrap this up. Let me take 30 seconds to go ahead and be honest about this, okay? Look, if it's not obvious by now, I love this fucking industry, all right? So much so that the last 15 years of my employed life has been involved with either software or hardware, PC hardware or QA, all right? All of my technical skills have come about the fact that, you know, I just wanted to learn how to play video games, more video games. Really, that's where it really boils down to. All right, and look, for the last 20 fucking years, all right, gamers have had to deal with the stigma that we're all closeted time bombs living in their fucking basements. All right,
I say it's longer than that.
growing neck beards, being socially inept, and everything else. Okay, and the truth of the matter is that when you just look at the math, you know, like I said, 98% of the adults that are out there, due to the fact that they carry digital devices on them, consider themselves gamers because that they play video games on a regular basis. Okay, it's a big part of the industry, and yes, it's very, very new to a lot of these old money and old media people. All right, and a lot of legislation. Let's just cut past the bullshit. It does involve a lot of money potentially for them. All right, but when you sit down and you blame something that I'm passionate about, okay, especially something that I will have to say overall has made me into a very capable adult. Okay,
A sane one.
I've got to call bullshit, you know, and that's really where we're at right now. Okay, but really, what we really want to know is that if you stayed with us all the way up to this point, thank you for watching. You know, what are your thoughts on the legislation that's going out there? What are your thoughts on the stuff that's been thrown around? Is it old hat? We want to know. You can let us know by leaving us a comment below. If you've liked this video, or if you didn't like it, hit like or dislike, whatever you want. And if you really want to see other discussions like this, I suggest that you subscribe, turn on those notifications to see whenever we put these videos out. All right. With all of that, all of our bullshit on federal government trying to get into video games ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse One.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist if you don't like it. And once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Credits.